My husband says I can't cook a steak for shit. He says it's way too tough and hard to swallow. So I came up with a new way to tenderize his meat. And this is how I make a deep dish pizza for my cheating husband. I take a long walk barefoot and pound the dough, mix all these ingredients together, and watch him eat it. This is how I make the perfect breakfast burrito for my cheating husband. I fry up the potatoes nice and crispy, and then I watch him eat it. This is how I make my cheating husband the perfect street tacos. I mix all these ingredients together, including BLK drops, and watch him eat it. This is how I make my husband a pot roast anytime he has to watch his sodium. Then I sit there and watch him swell up like a fucking balloon. My husband refuses to eat leftovers. He says leftovers are meant for me and the children, so I have to get creative. My children asked for a Big Mac from McDonald's for dinner. Being that my husband is a cheap asshole, I knew he wouldn't budge when I wanted to get the children McDonald's. So I had to get creative and I made them this, and the kids had no idea that it was homemade. This is how I make my cheating husband the perfect grilled cheese. I start by lubricating the bread so I can toast it up nice and crispy, and then I watch him eat it. My cheap ass husband only gives me $25 a week for groceries for a family of 6. I have to buy my meat on discount, and sometimes it's green just so he can have extra money for his whores. I found this fake eyelash stuck on my husband's collar, so I made him these bomb-ass kebabs. I guess I won't be the only one choking on a kebab tonight. My children asked for Taco Bell for dinner, but I knew my husband would say no because he's cheap. So I got creative and I made him this. My cheap ass husband doesn't allow me to buy Starbucks coffee. He says only fools buy coffee that they can make at home. So I came up with this recipe and made this. My husband expects me to have dinner ready and look my best when he gets home from work. So I came up with this hack where I do my foundation while I make wings. My children asked for a McDonald's Happy Meal. However, my husband is cheap. So I came up with this nugget recipe, and the children had no idea that this Happy Meal was homemade. My tight husband gave me exactly $12.55 for a steak bowl from Chipotle with guac. So I pocketed the money and I made him this, and he had no idea that this bowl was homemade. My cheap husband only gives me a $25 a week allowance for groceries for a family of 6. This is one of the meals I make for my children that only costs me $3. My trashy husband demanded that I bring him Popeyes to lunch for work, being that he treats me so good and he's just so patient and understanding. I knew I had to step it up for him, so I made him this. Me and my husband got in an argument, and he went to the store and said he expects dinner ready by the time he gets home. I enjoyed making this for him every step of the way. My husband used to tell me I have the most beautiful legs in the world, but now he doesn't pay attention to me, so I'm reminding him with this shaved beef. This is what I'm packing my children for their school lunch. I am using expired meat because my husband is so cheap, he'd rather spend all his extra money on his mistress. My husband went to a family party and said I couldn't come. Apparently, his family thinks I'm not good enough for him. I was lucky enough for him to bring me a plate. The children asked for KFC for dinner. However, my husband is too cheap to give me any money for them, so I came up with this recipe instead. My husband thinks it's okay for him to spend all his extra money on his whores and only give me $25 a week for groceries, so he deserves expired pork. My husband sent me to the grocery store barefoot. He said it's his way of teaching me a lesson not to leave the house without his permission. So I fed him this nasty-ass greenhouse. My husband and I have been arguing nonstop, so he packed his own lunch for work and I checked what it was and it was disgusting. So obviously I had to remake it for him because my grandmother trained me that for a happy marriage I should always step it up. The children asked for McDonald's breakfast, except my husband is too busy spending his money on his mistress, leaving me penniless, so I came up with this recipe. My husband left his phone unlocked, and I seen that he smashed his assistant, so I smashed his potatoes with my toes. My annoying husband has the audacity to volunteer me to cook for his job almost once a week. Today he asked for a vegetarian dish, so I made him this. My husband is on a work trip, aka he's with his mistress, but really I could care less. I invited some friends over and we're gonna get drunk while we eat these bomb-ass mini sopas.
Hi.
My husband hasn't been home in days and I don't know what to do.
Well, what do you expect? You've been stepping on his food.
But he deserves it. Plus, he's always telling me I need to step it up.
Listen, make him a big Papa burrito, and I promise you, your husband will start coming home.
Fine.
Don't step on it.
My husband has never allowed me to go to Friendsgiving, but since he's been missing, left me for his mistress, I bought myself this sexy dress and I made this mac and cheese and I'm going. My children are completely tired of Thanksgiving leftovers. They don't even want to smell Thanksgiving in the air. So I came up with this bomb-ass recipe for my daughter's lunch, and she had no idea this was Thanksgiving leftovers. This is how I make the absolute perfect ham sandwich using leftovers from Thanksgiving. I have become very good at dealing with leftovers, considering my husband only messes with leftovers. This is how I make the perfect turkey salad. My husband never allowed me to add walnuts to the salad because he's allergic. But since he's missing, left me for his mistress, I can eat all the nuts I want. My husband does not allow me to watch any TV. He says that TV is meant for lazy women. But he's on a business trip with his assistant, so I made myself this bomb-ass steak picado and watched you. My husband never allowed me to make ramen because he says it's for lazy women. However, he left me for his mistress. So me and the children have just been breaking all the rules. Today I made them birria ramen with an egg. My old-fashioned grandmother says that me and the children are overweight and I need to do something about it. She recommends that we become vegetarians. She says that she's a vegetarian now and it changed her life. She's dropped 30 pounds and that's the true way to keep a man happy. My husband ran off with his mistress, and I decided that I was going to meet up with an old friend. I even bought myself some sexy lingerie. My old-fashioned grandmother says that I can come to the annual Christmas party as long as I keep my mouth shut about losing my husband. She says not to bring anything boring, so I took this. My children and I are on the run. I mean, vacation. So I went to the grocery store and bought some stuff to make them a sandwich and made them these in our motel room. I have been cutting up meat all day long. My hands are in pain, but it's totally worth it to make my children the absolute perfect chimichurri.